Good afternoon, class. Today we deal about a new topic called transients. So already I said before about transients. That means a sudden change in a circuit. Until now we deal about a circuit network having a voltage source, that is DC, and a network having AC source. So in this, until now we solved about many theorems, many circuit nodal analysis, mesh analysis and all by giving constant source. That means the source is never interrupted, the circuit is never interrupted. There we found different responses of that circuit. So that analysis is known as steady state analysis. So if you keep the DC source, it is DC steady state analysis. If you keep AC source, it is AC steady state analysis. If for the same circuit or a different circuit, if we give, now in transients we analyze two type of circuits. This is our same network. You say same network having components L, C and R, L, C. So having components of energizing elements LC, this conductor and this inductor, conductor, capacitor and inductor, capacitor will store energies. Okay, for this network having these RL elements or RL element, RC element or RLC element. So we, for this circuit, if the switch is placed, so this is the switch. Okay, this switch will be operated some finite time. So at time t equal to 0, at t equal to 0 the switch is operating. So if you observe, I take two circuits. This is circuit 1 and this is circuit 2. For this circuit 1, if I source is removed, or for this circuit source is acting. So if I keep arrow upwards means I am removing this source. Okay, here is what I am keeping this source. That means for some time, say at finite time, this source is acting for this circuit. Initially the source, say for example t at t equal to minus 10 up to minus 0. That means minus 0 means up to certain time it is acting. And after at time 0, I remove this source. If I remove that source means this circuit is said to be source free. If I remove that source after switching for a finite time of interval, I remove that source, then that is called a source free circuit. So for that source free circuit, if we take response means that is source free responses, source free responses. Now here some circuit is there. I am adding that circuit to a switch, that is switch is acting at time 0. Then this is called source circuit. Response we find means source circuit response. Now you will be having a doubt here. So this is one circuit at time t0. I removed that circuit and I found analysis here. How we will do after removing the source? That means, for example, in this network there will be a conductor, an inductor, capacitor and a resistance. If I take RL circuit, that means only resistance and inductor is acting. If I keep the source, for the same circuit for time t equal to for some point of time, steady interval of time, I given this source to that circuit. In that meantime, this inductor, what what is there, it will store energy. So the current will be stored there. So after finite interval of time, I remove that source. That means now that store energy of an inductor will be have to decay there, or it will transmit. Where it will transmit? To some other element. So the response of that current in the inductor will deal here. That is transients. Here now, for that, if you are not giving that source to some other, here you are not giving that source to that any element. Now here, if that same circuit having RL element, the energy is stored here. After storage of energy at the some interval time, if I keep some source here other than this source, that means if a DC is giving to 5 volts, now after some time I switch this source of 5 volts to 10 volts. Okay, now initially there will be a inductor current will be there stored. So now what happens means, if I give another source, that there may be a chance of storage increase will be there. So the switching is done here. So here it will be acting in multiple of directions. Like, so if your RL element is there, so for example I take simply some circuit like this. So continuing this concept only I am dealing now. For this circuit, I take a conductor and a resistor. Okay, and now given a DC source. Okay, now at point of time, steady state means at some point of time, let's say 5 volts I given. So this conductor is what will store voltage. Okay, let us say at steady state it stored about 5 volts. Now according to this concept, I removed the source and I short circuited there. Now this 5 volts accumulated will decay somewhere here in the cell. So the voltage after some decay, so this 5 volts will be decayed in the circuit. Okay, 5 volts. Now if without removing that source, I kept some source here width of 10 volts, let us say. Already it is having 5 volts. Now I kept this 10 volts by a switch. This circuit will be having. Now what happens? When we will take the response of time t, now 5 volts is acting. This 5 volts will be, now it will become exponentially 10 volts. So this is called, so analyzing this is called transients. Without giving any source, if I shorted means after charging, so this voltage will be from 0 to some, this voltage will be decayed. So this is called transients.